Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, it is that time again to start the show. My friends, welcome to the Old Humble Happy Hour, the Old Humble Whiskey Happy Hour. Let's be very specific about that, shall we? I am your host, your friendly neighborhood sin merchant, the Old Humble guy himself. Cheers and salutations. Let's pour us a drink, shall we? I am drinking Old Humble Double Oak Rye, Double Oak Straight Rye. My nose itches. Pardon me. Goodness. It is just a legitimate itch, my friends. It is not what it looked or sounded like. Assuming that it looked or sounded like I was snorting cocaine. I was not, in fact, doing that. Welcome to the party. This is our 37th Old Humble Whiskey Happy Hour. Cheers to you. And we're revisiting a topic that seems to have gotten a bunch of people riled up, oddly enough, surprisingly enough. So a few weeks ago, I did a episode on the origins of the flat Earth theories. Where the hell this nonsense came from? I was curious. I didn't know. I figured out a way to search it up without wrecking my search histories and getting all kinds of nonsense coming up on my Amazons and YouTubes and all the stuffs. Came to a fairly sensible conclusion of the origins of the YouTube or of the flat Earth theories and how they keep like coming back, keep returning, like a chronic disease. Excuse me. And I got I got a few comments on it. I got a few messages about it, and I was like, "That's cute, that's interesting, that's cute, whatever." But there was a throwaway comment that I made in that first episode. Throwaway comment that we know the math. We've known the math for centuries. The Greeks knew the math. We know the math. We can do the experiments. We know the experiments. We know how to calculate the circumference of the Earth. We know how to calculate the size of the moon, the distance of the moon from the Earth. We know how to calculate the size of the sun. We know this. We just a hand wave statement, a throwaway statement. We know this. Well, whatever. And then a couple weeks later, I'm like, I hand waved that off like it was simple and obvious, and I didn't actually talk about it. So a couple weeks later, I come back and do a show talking about the math of the round Earth and how we know this. The shadow experiment, the observable shadow experiment that you can do in Houston and Dallas and literally calculate the circumference of the entire Earth around through the poles, which are at the top and bottom of the globe, which is the Earth. We can do all this stuff. We know this stuff. I talked about that experiment, the experiment where they can they did the relative size of the moon to the Earth, so they knew how big the moon was based on its shadow to the Earth. They knew how big the Earth was based on its shadow on the moon, and they did the relative size of the moon with the triangles and everything, and they were able to calculate the distance, not only the distance, but the actual size of the moon based on the size of the Earth, which they already knew. And then it took many, many, many centuries for them to confirm, prove, accurately observe and calculate the size of the sun. They knew it was really, really big, but they didn't know how to accurately calculate that because they couldn't actually see Venus transiting the sun. But the way they confirmed how big the sun was, because it's also a big ball of gas, was by observing a transit of Venus from two different latitudes on Earth, one actually in the north and one actually in the south, and being able to see using parallax. And parallax, I can actually demonstrate parallax for you. If I open up a second camera here, I'm going to add a camera source. Watch this. Add a video capture device. What I'm going to do is I'm going to capture video with my HP webcam, my computer cam. So I have two computers here, or I have two Two cameras here. They are roughly 12 inches apart. Let's say they're 12 inches apart. They're basically pointed at me in the same spot. Um, if I had the video capture device over here, see, will it turn on? See, like, let me make sure it turns on, because what's supposed to happen, HP, there it is, activate, we on? Okay, so so this is the two cameras. This is this camera right here, and this camera right here. They're about 12 inches apart, and I'm going to make this bigger, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch between the two of them. If I'm looking at both of them at the same, well, I can't look at both of them at the same time, because they're actually in different directions from me. So I'm going to look in between them. And you can see in the background, there's the background for the one, and the background for the other, and the background for the one. That is parallax. And they can do that. See, and you can see, look at the Old Humble Derrick is, it's off center by that much. And then we cut back to the other camera, and it is actually off center by this, what, where's the, oh, my wrong finger here. It's off center by that much. So it goes from this much to this much, this much to this much. And here's the really cool thing. That's like, imagine this is the background stars, right? And the foreground stars. So let's say there's a particular object in the sky, like, oh, I don't know, the moon. And, Earth is on one side of the sun, and we see the moon, and the stars are in a certain place. And then Earth is on the other side of the sun, and we see the moon, and the stars are in a different alignment. That's parallax. 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 Or if you see, let's say, Venus on the sun stays in the same place, but Venus moves. You can triangulate all this data. If you have the data, if you measure it, you have the data. You're smart Greek dudes or whatever they were. You can figure all this shit out. It works out pretty well. What is this? Yeah, get rid of that. What is this? Oh, that's my slideshow. I'll come to that in a minute. But they can and they did. They tracked all this stuff out. They determined how many. So in the case of Venus and the Sun, they were at a point here on Earth. Venus was here, and it appeared to be in this spot, say, on the Sun. And then from this place on Earth, Venus appeared to be this spot on the Sun, which means they were looking at Venus from two different angles. That's how they determined how big the Sun was. It was very, very simple. Yo, what up, Safety Doc? Safety Doc's in the house. I have accepted your challenge to buy a book, by the way. I will buy a book in April when it comes available. I know that I can pre-order it, but to be completely honest, I have forgotten to pre-order it. But I have accepted your challenge, and I will be buying a book. And in April, we will be doing a book report for Safety Doc's new book, How to Eat a Whole Horse. I think that's your book, right? It's a cooking book about eating horses. Or something along those lines. I don't know. I don't read. I have people read things to me because I'm a very powerful man. That's how I roll, my friend. That is how I roll. But welcome to the party, my man. Cheers. Salutations. Good to have you all around. So that was basically the second Flat Earth episode. And we talked about the math, the hand wave of math. Like, these are the critical calculations that confirmed and we knew that the Earth was round. Was the famous Greek stick experiment where they went like and measured the one stick, or it was the stick in the shadow at noon and the stick in the shadow at noon. It was the difference in degrees, and that's how they knew how many degrees they were apart on the Earth. And then they extrapolated that. You're 7 degrees apart. This is the distance on the surface was 7 degrees, and then they divided that by 7 to make it 1 degree, and then they multiplied it by 365, which is how they came up with this. Simple math, easy to do. You can replicate this quite easily. You just have to drive about 500 miles north, and From Houston to 500 miles north is somewhere in Oklahoma. So I can see how that's not desirable. But you can do it. You can absolutely do it. Take the measurement at noon. Hell, you may know somebody in Dallas if you're in Houston. If you're in Dallas, you know someone in Kansas. If you're in Kansas, you know someone in Wisconsin. It's not, what I'm saying is, it's not hard to do. If you wanted to replicate this experiment, you could do this. It's easy. Very, very easy. And if you have that information, if you have that data, if you have that measurement, it's much easier to measure all the other stuff. 2 weeks from today is when Safety Doc's book comes out. That's exciting, man. It's super duper exciting. You have your book coming out. Um, I'll learn if it was voted. Oh, 2 weeks if you'll learn if you were voted to city council. Ooh, intrigue. City council is the first step to deep, unending corruption. That's like the stepping stone. I can't wait for you, man. That's gonna be exciting. I want kickbacks. Absolutely, I want some kickbacks. I don't know what they are. I don't know like how you get them, but when you get some, I want some too. Uh, and not the bad kind. I don't want the illegal kind. I want the good kind, like chocolates and stuff like that, or maybe a little bit of whiskey in all the bars in Wisconsin or something. I mean, I'm not asking for much. I just want to be the whiskey czar of Wisconsin. That's a fair ask, right? Right? I think that's a fair ask. So those are the two episodes we've already done, right? And I still get comments off of those. I got a comment today off of one of those two episodes. Um, but there was one person in particular that said, if the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile, then I shouldn't be able to see ships going over the horizon, or I should be able to see the ships falling over the horizon, but I don't see the ships falling over the horizon. I can see them pulling into port across Lake Michigan. And first of all, excuse me, first of all, it's 8 inches per mile squared. So it's not 8 inches per mile, it's per mile squared. It's a whole area, surface area thing and curvature thing. So it's like a parabola. Um, but also there's like the refraction of the atmosphere. So there's that. This is the experiment. The curvature of the Earth and the ships falling over the horizon. We should be able to see the ships or the ship should be going over the horizon. And the original experiment that brought up this nonsensical flat Earth mess was a flawed experiment, which saw the ships not falling as fast as they expected them to fall. Because and here's hold on. I'll get my whiteboard out for this to help explain this. This was the critical mistake that brought all this mess to bear. The critical mistake. So the idea was if you have a curved surface like that, and you have a ship. Well, let's make the ship with a little bit longer there, and you give them the sail like that. As they go this way, you're from. If this is you, that's you. You're wearing pants because you're an Englishman, or you're wearing a kilt because you're a Scotsman. Whatever, that's you. So as the ship goes, this is your line of sight. The ship goes, and then the ship's over here. That's the ship. As you go, the perspective as the ship goes over the edge of the Earth is that it continuously falls off and eventually disappears, right? That's the idea. This was the flawed logic, or this is the assumption, this is the truth, this is the reality, right? But the dude who did this experiment, this was the Barrington level, I think it was Barrington-Behringer level experiment. He said, well, the ship's not falling over. It's not going over the horizon as fast as it should. So that means the Earth isn't curved. The Earth is really flat because we can see the ship is. But see, here's the other part of that. The reality is also that there's like air up here and stuff, and that air actually refracts light, so you can see like you can't see all the way around the Earth, obviously, but you can see like the Earth is curved, but it there's this apparent slope as the light reflects back up. It's a really bad drawing, but that's how it is. That's how it works. That's the reality behind it. And this dude looked at this and he said, well, clearly the Earth's not round. And he created a flat Earth society, and they had members all around the globe, which is ironic. And this dumb flat Earth society keeps popping up, and it's been about 100 years since the first one popped up, and this is like the third or fourth generation of flat Earthers. Needless to say, I was thinking about this last week when we went out camping. We were out camping. We were looking at the stars. We were talking about stuff and laughing about other things. And it occurred to me that there's a lot of casual observations just in the environment around us that confirms what we know to be true, what we've always known to be true for, since 600 or 700 BC. Or maybe 1600 BC. I think we've known this for like 3,000 years. And there's just casual observations that you could look out there and see, and it confirms that the Earth is round, which it is. This is not a debate. Mind you, this is not a debate, and we're not debating whether or not the Earth is round. Just explaining casual observations you can see out there that confirms 100% without question what we already know to be true. What do we know to be true? Boys and girls, repeat after me. The Earth is round. Duh. Okay. First observation. First plain observation. And this is the slideshow that I had. Look here. So this is what we know. The sun's over there. The Earth is over here. And, the moon goes in between us. The Earth rotates this way. The moon orbits that way. We know this. This we know. This is known. What is wrong, and what has come and gone several times and been wrong, this is not right. The moon is not there. The moon is not, the Earth is not like that. The moon is not like that. The sun is not like that. The sun is actually much bigger than that. And we know this. We know the sun is bigger than this because we've done the parallax experiment with Venus. We know the sun isn't oriented like that. We know that Venus is in between us and the sun. We know that Mercury is in between us and the sun. And we know that the moon comes between us and the sun several times because we see it happen. That's called a solar eclipse. And also conversely, we know the reverse of that the sun comes in between us and the moon because we've seen that as well. That's called a lunar eclipse. We know these things. I'm sorry, when the sun comes between the moon. Wait, what did I say? We know that the Earth comes between the sun and the moon because that's a lunar eclipse. And then we know the opposite to be true, that the moon comes between the sun and the Earth because that's a solar. We know this to be true. So we know without question that this orientation is this orientation is how it works, and this orientation is 100% impossible because you cannot fit Venus in between this dumb little gap. You can't do it. You cannot fit two entire planets in between that dumb little gap. And we also know that the sun is much, 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 much huger than this. How do we know this? Because of the way that the Earth's shadow is created. It's not created as a single little pinpoint. It's 5 times wider than the moon at the distance that the moon is from Earth. And we know this based on, say it with me, kids, lunar eclipses. We know this. As the Earth's shadow goes across the moon, we know that the size of the Earth's shadow is 5 times the size of the moon. So at the distance that the moon is from the Earth's shadow is 5 times larger, which means we can calculate where the shadow comes to a pinpoint and focuses in. This isn't complicated stuff. It's like middle school math. It's not complicated. We know this. The Greeks knew this. Everybody knows it. This is what we talked about in the second episode. I already went over. Who's in the house here? Bourbon Bounty joined us in the house. What up, my main man? Set up a time-lapse camera. What is that? Set up a timer. It curves. What is the percent of people actually be your... Oh, no. It's not high at all. There's maybe hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, that's a good question. Let me Google that real quick. Hey, Siri, what is the number of people in the Flat Earth Society today?
Okay, I found this on the web.
Let's see here.
Number of people in the Flat Earth Society today.
Number of people in the Flat Earth Society. That did not come up with a number. And that's, by the way, going to ruin my search results, by the way. Number of people in the current Flat Earth Society. The current Flat Earth Society numbers probably hundreds of thousands, not millions, probably hundreds of thousands. So I'm going to go with hundreds of thousands. 7%. There you go. So 7% of what is it? Do we have a trillion people on the planet? No, we got a couple of billion people. What is it? 6 billion, 7 billion? So 7% of 7 billion. Let's say 7 billion. That'd be 0.07 times 7 billion. That's 7 million. That's 700 million. What would that be? 490 million. So that's a good number of people, but they're all wrong. So it doesn't, honest to God, it doesn't matter how many people believe it. I still believe it's probably close to hundreds of thousands. It doesn't matter how many people believe it. They're still wrong. It doesn't matter if everybody believes that 2 plus 2 equals 87. It's still wrong. What they believe doesn't matter. The fact that the Earth is actually round and we can prove it with casual observations. One of those casual observations, by the way, is when you go out and you look at a full moon. Or not even a full moon, like a moon that's progressing towards full. Because what you see when a moon is progressing towards full, let me flip over to this picture real quick. So that's, again, the lunar eclipse. I don't know why I keep flipping to that one first. What you see when the moon is approaching full is you see the shadow of the shadow of the moon as it retreats back behind the moon, but the light on the moon, and it's, of course, the light of the moon is oriented towards the sun. So as the sun is dipping down under the horizon, which is caused by the Earth's rotation, by the way, as the sun is dipping down on the horizon, as the Earth is shifting this way, it's the angle of the light going to the moon is extremely high, which means the sun is extremely far away. It's extremely high. It's not low like this unless it's a full on full moon, but it's still extremely high, and that means that the sun is very, very, very far away. We know the sun is very, very, very far away. We've confirmed these calculations that how far the sun is away from the Earth and the size of the sun, for that matter, laterally and vertically, or vertically and lateral. Yeah, that would be vertical and lateral. We've confirmed these by observation, not only terrestrial observation, but also space observation. But you can confirm all this stuff terrestrially. But even more importantly, you don't need to know the actual calculations, because the Greeks knew, without actually calculating it correctly, that the moon was very small compared to the Earth, the sun was very big compared to the Earth, and very far away compared to the Earth. Or very far away from the Earth compared to the moon. Like the moon was much closer to the Earth than the sun, partly because they knew that the moon could fully blot out the sun during an eclipse. So they knew the moon was much closer, and they knew the sun was much bigger and farther away. They didn't know how far away exactly. They got that calculation wrong, and that calculation stayed wrong until like the 1600s, until they got a better calculation when they did the parallax. But like all this stuff is known. It's known and calculable. And just like 3 easy observations that you can see just from casually looking around when you walk outside. It requires a little bit of travel. But if you travel from, let's say, Houston to Mexico City. Hey Siri, what's the distance from Houston to Mexico City?
Mexico City, Mexico is about 946 miles from Houston by...
So that is it's about 1,000 miles. So it's about 1,000 miles from Houston to Mexico City. In Mexico City, you're going to see different constellations of stars. Because in Mexico City, you're going to start to be able to see stuff south of the equator. If the Earth was flat, that's not how it would work. Because you'd be on the same flat plane looking out in both directions to be able to see the stars, both under the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere has different stars than the northern hemisphere. That's because it's on a curved plane. It's on a curved face of the earth. You're literally pointing in a different direction when you go south than you are when you go north. When you look directly up, perpendicular to the ground, you're looking in a different direction in the southern hemisphere than you are in the northern hemisphere. That's because it's one of those simple casual observations that confirms things are round. And when you move north, the constellations move south and go closer and closer and closer to the southern hemisphere. And then when you move south and go further and further and further south past the equator, the North Star disappears entirely. It drops completely below the northern horizon because the Earth's round. And I'm telling you, like, I always thought these were just a bunch of crackpot, lunatic, goofball ding-dongs. But there's literally somebody on TikTok right now talking about, oh, the Earth is flat. This is how we know the Earth is flat. No, it's not. You're wrong. Their observations are incorrect, and they're making incorrect assumptions. Holy shit, chat's all over the place. Hello, Sean Hawkins. I see Sean says hello. And I'm going to scroll over here. Who we got? Coffee House Theology. Coffee House Theology's in the house. I'm just going to scroll real quick down chat. Starting with Coffee House Theology, saying, cheers, what's up? John Jacobs, of course, is in the house. Gave me the 7% number. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me that number. In fact, I'm going to move this over here so I can see this a little bit easier. Who else we have? Bourbon Bounty is here. Sean Jacobs, I just mentioned. Sean Hawkins in the house. Came back from what? Oh, Coinsomniacs. I am going to go check out the Coin Crew later on tonight because I was told to do that. I will find them. I forgot to do the basic YouTube housekeeping stuff. Like, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and do all the shit you're supposed to do. Please and thank you. When we have 550 subscribers, I give away a bottle of whiskey. Bottle of whiskey is going to look suspiciously like this one. So thank you for your support. Come and join us. There you go. What else? I keep saying, wait, what? I hate the. Okay, wait, hang on. Supreme Court hearing. I have been trying to avoid talking about the Supreme Court hearing myself. Huh. Let's see. We're just going to scroll down real quick. My favorite part, I will say this, my favorite part from the Supreme Court hearing today was when Ted Cruz asks the question about the book. And she goes, Senator, and I'm like, she is every single person in America every time Ted Cruz talks. He's just like, you fucking idiot. But she can't say you fucking idiot. But the rest of us are thinking, God, that guy. That guy. Anyway. Let's scroll down chat some more. Find the rest. That. Oh yes, thank you, Bourbon Bounty. You do have the bottle of the rye. We should be getting a review from you soon, if I'm not mistaken. Bum 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 bum. Yes, thank you, John Jacobs, and click the likes button, please. Thank you. Subscribe, like, follow us, do all the notification bell thing because I do these lives like periodically, 2 or 3 times a week. You don't want to miss anything. Thursday night we're doing trivia. We're giving away money. Well, kind of money. We're giving away boozy bucks, store credit basically, that you can apply towards bottles of whiskey or whatever the fuck you want to apply to. Hats, shirts, whiskey. John Jacobs has $20 in boozy bucks. Tuna has $10 in boozy bucks. First place gets 20, second place gets 10, third place gets 5. They accumulate over time. So if you play 3 times and you win twice, you've got $40 in boozy bucks. If you manage to come in second or third place, you may have 45. So there you go. Thursday nights are going to be fun. And this Thursday night, we are doing Trivial Pursuit Disney questions. Bah, bah, bah. Oh, hey, kids. And I am going to see. Maybe we should start like a lotto of how many times Lisa says that's copyright violation. Hmm. Uh, that is the worst Lisa impression. But I wonder how many times I can get her to say that say those words, something to the effect of copyright violations. Um, well, I'll put out a poll question tomorrow. How many times can we get Lisa to say copyright violation on the Disney trivia night? Because I'm thinking I can get her to say it more than once. I'm fairly certain I can get her to say it more than once. What is this from Bourbon Bounty? Um, don't believe in neck pores. I don't blame you. Um, there you go. There should be a valid review. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you, man. Whenever you get around to it, I ain't worried about it. I know you enjoy it. I know you liked it. You got your whiskey. Congratulations on the 1,000 subscribers. That was a congratulatory bottle of whiskey for you. Um, I think I'm with you on that. I don't think there's any such thing as a neck pour either. The whiskey in the bottle is the whiskey in the bottle, and if between the neck and the base, it's pretty much the same thing. So I personally find that to be nonsense too. There's a lot of stuff in the whiskey world that I find to be nonsensical, and people do it because they have seen other people do it, and it just drives me absolutely bonkers. And they're like, "Oh, it has grassy notes." Mm. Like you don't know what grass tastes like, dum dum. Quit it. Ugh, God. Anyway, I like whiskey. I like whiskey. I like the way whiskey tastes. I like to make whiskey that tastes good. I don't approach it from a scientific point of view as much as I approach it from an enthusiast point of view, and I try to replicate that. I know what makes what I like, and why it makes what it likes, but the science involved is not really something that I find to be particularly interesting or relevant for most people. Hmm. So there you go. Most of its ratios, surprisingly enough, in my personal opinion, most of its ratios. But we'll talk about that some other day. We'll talk about that some other day. So two other casual observations. There's actually 10 that I can mention. I've already mentioned several that come up with the casual observations, such as the stick and shadow experiment that tells you, the curvature of the Earth. That doesn't happen if it's a flat Earth. The fact that the moon has a curved shadow on it when the Earth's shadow passes in front of the moon during a lunar eclipse, that tells you that the Earth is round. Simply looking at the other planets that are also round, like Earth isn't special. We didn't come from some other galaxy or some other dimension, and a flat Earth was dropped into seven other round planets. That's not how things work. And we formed at the same time as all the other planets. We're round just like they are. Why would the moon be round and the Earth be flat? That doesn't make any damn sense. Anyway, so one of the three casual observations. So there was simply the stars and the moon. Simply going out at night, looking at the stars, looking at the moon, being aware of your surroundings. That's one easy casual observation that you can look around and go, yeah, obviously. I mean, you can look at the geometry. When the moon's here and like the sun's here, and as the sun goes down on my side of town, as the sun goes down, and you can see like the sun dips below the Earth's horizon, and the moon's like way over here. Like you can see where the light is. You can literally draw it and draw lines from where it should be, and that line just keeps going out and keeps going out and keeps going out and keeps going out till you figure out where the sun should be, and it's a far fucking ways off from Earth based on where the moon is. They're definitely not. Uh, where is this? Where is this at? It's definitely not uh, this orientation. Where's it at? Not this orientation. Definitely not that. That's not how it works. Certainly not that. Certainly not that. There's no fucking dome. We're not in some dumb snow shaker. Uh, we're not in some and what is this? The crater? Yeah, we're not in some crater Earth either. That's not how things are. We know that. We definitely know this because you go to space, you don't see the block of wood around us. Oh, Lord Almighty, Lord Almighty. Um, okay, back to chat momentarily. Moose Cow's in the house. Cheers, Moose Cow. Um, Someone check out a channel. Wait, tomorrow check out a channel called Jose Boom. Wait, Jose JG Boom. Let me write that down in my handy dandy notebook. Jose JG JG Boom. All right, I'll check that out tomorrow. I don't know what I do. I do not know what I'm getting myself into, but I'll go check it out. I'll probably check it out before I go to bed tonight, because I got time on my hands. What is this one? Moose Gal's in the house. Whiskey making is one third science. Yeah, some bit. Some that's fair. One third science. One third art. Yeah, yeah, probably. And what? Rata Ruck. That's a safe bet. I think it's more art. I tell people it's one part discovery, one part creation, and the discovery is much more interesting than the creation part, because you can do all of the creation part right, and the discovery part can still go vastly wrong. A lot of the creation part, well, all of the creation part uh, influences the discovery and leads to the discovery, but there's a lot of variation in the creation part too. And you can do your level best to make sure that the creation part that you're working on uh, remains consistent, but there's always some little variable that comes uh, into the creation part, which leads to the discovery part. And I find the discovery part to be my favorite because I get to find out this before anybody else finds out if I did it right. Um, but a lot of yeah, there's a whole lot of trial and error in the creation part. So props to the creators. Among them, I number myself. What else we got here? Uh, oh, he's an ex flat earther. It's always fun to see ex flat earthers who've literally and figuratively seen the light. And he does a live show every day. That's that's some dedication to your craft there. I would like to at some point. What is this? Do a live show every day, but I just do not have that kind of staying power. I've got other work to do. And like tomorrow, for example, I'm going to Austin to peddle my wares, and I probably won't be home in time to do a reasonable show, but I may be home in time to do a sip and chat. So I may have a forum show up tomorrow, and it would be our 200th episode if I get home tomorrow in time to do a show. So, like I said, subscribe, hit the notification bell. When the thing comes up, there'll be a link. If you want to join me and talk, let's talk whiskey. Bourbon Bonnie, come and join me. We'll talk whiskey. Sean, join me. Pour yourself a cocktail. We'll talk whiskey. I want to know what you're drinking. Because, like I said, I mean, I make whiskey, I do whiskey, but I'm an enthusiast before I'm a whiskey maker, and I want to know what other people are drinking, and what other people are doing, and how they're drinking what they're drinking. Like, do you make it in cocktails? I mean, most whiskey snobs are whiskey snobs. They're like, no, I only drink it straight. Yeah, maybe a drop of water, whatever. That's fine as long as you pour it in your mouth. You're drinking it right. I don't care if you pour your $600 bottle of whiskey into a can of Coke and all right, I'm lying. I do care. That hurts my heart to even say it. But it's your whiskey. If you want to pour your whiskey into a can of Coke, fine. Pour your whiskey into a can of Coke. Drink it. The worst whiskey is whiskey that doesn't get drank. I don't give a shit if it was made by Glengarry himself, uh, Glenfiddich himself, Jack Daniels himself. If you don't drink it, it's shit whiskey. I don't care how much you paid for it. If you don't drink it, it's shit whiskey. The worst whiskey is whiskey that doesn't get consumed. Consume your whiskey, please. I beg you, consume your whiskey. I picture a cow standing in the field, living a very long life, dying in the field, being consumed by beetles and ants and turned into grass. That is a cow that some people would look at and say, wow, he lived a long, fulfilling life of standing in the field and eating grass and dying without a hope or dream in his entire cow life. But he did have open dreams. He had hopes and dreams of eating grass, and he ate grass. And yay, hooray for you! but he still didn't fulfill his greatest purpose in life, which was to be food for me. He just died there in the field. He could have been a steak. A steak, baby. He could have made dozens of hamburgers. He could have made scores of steaks. He could have been a brisket, a properly rubbed brisket, slow cooked and tender and moist. And oh, he could have been something. He could have brought joy to dozens and dozens and dozens of people. He could have, she, because probably wouldn't have been a he, she could have done great things. She could have been celebrated by an entire village. But no, she died, living an unfulfilled life, and was turned into grass. Drink your whiskey. Don't let your whiskey be that cow dying in a field unfulfilled. Drink it. Every year that goes by that you don't drink that whiskey is another risk to that bottle breaking and that whiskey being lost forever. Drink your whiskey. Don't make me come after you. Don't make me come to your house and drink it for you. I mean, I'll do it, but don't make me. I mean, you can just ask me. You ask me nicely. Hell, you can ask me meanly. I'll come and drink your whiskey. I don't have any problem with that. Unless it's shitty whiskey, I probably won't drink it. And I've had a few. There's a couple of bottles up there in the back that are full because they're trash. That's the sign of a bad bottle of whiskey. It's trash because you didn't drink it. You tried it, thought it was garbage, you didn't finish it. Now, it's different if it's like a collectible, it means something. I only have a sip once a year for Christmas because it was with my dad or with my brother or with my, yeah, that's different. That's a tradition bound event where you sit down and you're like, I'm going to memorialize this moment every year. And then you have whatever, 15 years of drinks in that bottle, and then you get another bottle and you have 15 more years of drinks in that bottle. And that's how you celebrate your buddy, your father, your mother, your great uncle Silas, or whoever. It's a different situation. You're actually drinking it, but you're drinking it with a purpose. But you know, if it just sits there on the shelf forever, it just breaks my heart. Absolutely breaks my heart. Don't do that. Don't do that to your whiskey. Don't leave your cows in the field to die lonely and unfulfilled. Drink that whiskey, man. Drink it. Drink it. Anyway, what was I talking about? Uh, some ranting tangent. Sorry, I don't mean to do that. I've had a very long day. Um, uh, whoa, I missed something. What did I miss? Uh, where are we looking at? Okay. Scrolling through, trying to keep up. Don't want Muscle Shell to yell at me again. Um, is it starting here? Okay, does live shows every day. Got it. Who's next? Um, that one? No. Forcing to go to church guy. Uh, my love. Okay. You do drink it all. I've seen your shelf. Your shelf is uh your shelf is properly is full of unfilled bottles, or nearly unfilled bottles. I've seen it. Uh, I'm certain I can find some you like. You seem to have pretty good taste in whiskey, so I'm pretty sure I can find more than a couple that I would enjoy over at your bar. What else we got here? Moose Gal says, okay. I've talked about just a few casual observations. Let's talk about one more casual observation that confirms the Earth is round. We've got the varying constellations. We've got the moon. We've got the light on the moon, the shadow on the moon, the shadows in the sticks, the one I talked about before. I've got my notes here on my phone. Now, okay, here's a perfect example. Seeing farther from higher up. So if you have where's my, here it is. If you have a flat surface from which you are looking out upon, this is, again, simple math. or simple physics, I think is what it would be called. Okay, so you're here. Let's start down here at the bottom. You're here. This is you. That's you. You're on the ground. You're looking out. You see a thing. Yeah, there's a happy little tree. Let's give it a happy little tree here. Happy little tree. Yay. Right? You can't see past the happy little tree, right? So let's say you're up here now on this platform, and here's you. Yeah, look at you. Yay. Now, if you look out, let's make this a straight line. You look out, you can't see appreciably farther. The happy little trees right there, everything's like that. This is, of course, not to scale. But if you are instead on a round surface, again, not to scale, but this is you, bum, 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 and the earth rounds off like that, and there's a happy little tree right here. You look out, you see that. If you're up here on this platform, and there you are, standing there, and you look out, oh, look, now I can see over the happy little tree, and you can see, well, the earth would trail off over here behind it. You can see over the happy little tree to the earth behind it. And you can't do that on a flat earth, but you can do that on our earth because our earth is, say it with me, boys and girls, spheroid, right? Roundish. Exactly. And that's one of the things that we can do on a round earth. You go up in a tall, a tall building. You can see farther because the earth curves off to the side and you can actually see down there. In an airplane, you can see farther out of the airplane than you can see flat on the ground. From one of the super high airplanes, super high balloons, where you can actually see the curvature of the earth as it curves around. These are observable things. You can actually see the curvature of the earth when you get high enough. And here's another thing that's it's less observable. It's less of a casual observance, casual observation than it is just that it's something that's specific to a specific profession, and the profession would have been sailors. As they're going across the ocean, the wind goes and curves this way. Then you get to a slightly higher latitude, and it curves back the other way, called trade winds. Goes this way, goes that way. When you get to a certain latitude, the wind kind of stops. When you go past that latitude, the wind goes down and it curves the other direction. It blows in different directions, and that's called the Coriolis effect. We don't notice that because we aren't sailors. We are not a seafaring people, generally speaking. There are people who are seafaring people among us, and they generally know the Earth is round because they've sailed around the world. You can do this. It's not hard. I mean, it's not easy. It's a huge challenge to accomplish it, even today with today's technology. But it's not like it's impossible. Like people solo sail around the world still. Anyway, the reason the it's the reason why hurricanes go one way in the northern hemisphere and the other way in the southern hemisphere. This is called the Coriolis effect. This happens because the Earth is a globe, uh, and you can see it on merry-go-round. The merry-go-round is perfect. When you take a ball from the edge of the merry-go-round and roll it towards the center, it curves because the speed in the center is slower than the speed on the outside, even though it's going the same distance. Let me draw another diagram because this is one of the coolest things. This is one of the coolest things about Earth. You have a circle like so, a little dot in the middle. If you have, and it's going around and orbiting, on the outside, it's orbiting faster. This speed is going faster, and we have calculated that speed is something like 100,000 miles an hour. It's ridiculously fast. And it's much, much slower up here, which is why we launch rockets in Florida and not Alaska. We don't have space launches in Alaska. And then on the other side, it's the same thing where it's faster that way. And if you take a ball and roll it this way, it will curve like that. because it's now going, I'm sorry, curves this way because it is moving slower relative to the rest of to the merry-go-round around it, and then it curves back this way as it goes back down. It is absolutely fucking fascinating. And it's not so much, that's less of a casual observation because we don't really travel north and south in the ocean the way they used to travel north and south between Europe and Africa, and Europe and Africa, and Africa and South America, and South America and North America, and North America, Europe, slave triangle. Talk about that another day too. Um, but that's less a casual observation and more a specific observation uh, from a specific point of view in uh, a specific profession. Let me scroll back up through chat real quick because every time I look, there's a whole set of fresh flat snow earth. What? Uh, Flat snow earth. What are you talking about? What is the fixation on debunking a no, 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 this isn't even no, 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 this is specifically not debunking. There's nothing to debunk, and that's why I don't consider this debuncation. There's nothing to debunk. There's not a there's not two theories. There's not two notions. There's not two ideas. This isn't a debate. This isn't an argument. This is knowing the world around you. This is just casual observations of the world around you. This is just being able to go outside and look up and know what it is that you're seeing. You know what I mean? This isn't I don't consider this debunking because I'm not you don't go out and debunk 2 plus 2 equals 87. You're like, no, that's wrong. You just acknowledge that it's wrong and say, look, here's 4 toothpicks. Casual observation of 4 toothpicks, 2 in this hand and 2 in this hand. That's it. And the only reason why I'm doing this a third time is partly because I find the geometry of our universe, and especially our little corner in the universe, to be a beautifully artistic thing. I find art in nature, art in the geometry and math of our universe to just be absolutely gorgeous. When you look at the orbits of the inner planets, Earth and Mars and Venus, and the relationship, if you draw a line between Venus and Earth and Mars, uh, and you record that line every day over the course of a year or several years as they as they orbit around the sun, it creates this beautiful pattern, this absolutely gorgeous resonant pattern of lines between the three planets. And I find that art to be absolutely gorgeous and absolutely amazing. And I think we take that for granted so often that we go out there and we see this gorgeous full moon and we just take it for granted that that moon is telling us where the sun is located. That full moon is informing us of the size of the earth that we're standing on and the location of the earth that we're standing on in relation to the sun that gives us life, the sun that feeds the planet or feeds the plants that feed the animals that feed the people and feed the plants that feed the people. We just take for granted that it's there, and we think that it's there to serve us. It doesn't give a shit that we exist. It doesn't care that we exist, but it's there and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous. And it serves this immaculate function of anchoring our entire solar system. And it's this big in the sky. But it's not that big. It's so massive that we don't even look this big next to it. And I find it to be beautiful. I find it to be something that should be acknowledged and not ignored. Like the fact that the moon is upside down in the southern hemisphere is a fact that was 100% ignored by all of the schools that I went to all of my life. I was 40 years old sitting in traffic when it occurred to me that when you're in Australia, the moon is upside down. To them, the moon is right side up because they're upside down as well. But I'm on my way to the office, so I can't even stop and confirm this. I have to sit here and think about it and logic it out and and consider it like the geometry of our earth and why would this be and how do we not know this? How has nobody mentioned this? And just the simple logical fact that in Australia they can't see Orion. In the only place where you can see the North Star and the Southern Cross at the same time is Ecuador, because they're one's over the southern pole and one's over the North Pole, and the only place where you can see them both is Ecuador, because Ecuador is both centrally located and high enough that you can see over the curvature of the Earth to the North Star and over the curvature of the Earth to the Southern Cross. Only place on the planet where you can see both. Um, these are just casual observations that connect us to the world, literally connects us to the world around us, and connects us to everybody else, because everybody else looks up and sees the same moon. Everybody else looks up and sees the same stars. Everybody else looks up and feels the same sun on their cheeks, or lays down and feels the sun on their cheeks, depending on where they're at. Um, Everyone else participates in this all the same way. And it I think it probably bothers me a little bit, maybe a little bit, when people look up and they see the same thing and they just ignore it and just wave their hand to be all like, "Oh, the sun's the size of a marble. Whatever, it's not that." It's not. It's this. It's 98% of all the mass in all of our solar system. And that's an amazing fact, that thing that's this big in the sky is 98% of all of the mass in our solar system. And we have two giant planets out there. Two giant ones that you can see with a telescope. They're fucking gorgeous. And it's 98% of all the mass. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. This is why I love having the science girl on too, because uh, when Tanya comes on, my science advisor comes on, she shares this kind of dorky passion. And oh, I can't wait to have our James Webb Space Telescope episode. That's going to be lit. Oh my God. The stuff that we're going to learn from the James Webb Space Telescope is going to be so insane. We might even be able to confirm that the Earth is round. By the way, it's round. We already know this. Let me scroll through chat one more time. Where are we at? Where are we? Flat snow. There it is. Okay, found it. Boom. This one. Next. Um, is flat Earth whiskey any better? There's no such thing as flat Earth whiskey. Tuna's entered the chat. What's up, my main man, Tuna? There's no ice walls, Tuna. There's no ice walls, although I do have a picture of that. It would be, which one would that be? Would that be this one? Nope, that's our eclipse. That's the flat. There's one with the ice wall and the dome, and this would be the ice wall. The ice wall with the Earth well in the middle. That's not even how gravity works, man. That's not even how gravity works. Gravity doesn't even do that. Gravity would form the Earth into a damn ball. Just, ugh. Even that's the dumbest picture. Drives me absolutely nuts. It's like the worst model of a flat Earth. Um, Space is fluid with, yes, things form bubbles around. Yeah, that's it. We are all, well, we're all bubbles. John Jacob's still in the house. The mind blown moment is when you realize, let's see here. Can I read it down here? When you realize all the planets in our solar system, are actually trailing behind the sun like a corkscrew. I don't know if that's an accurate. I've seen that model, the corkscrew model. I've seen that model. I don't think that's actually the orientation of the solar system in the Milky Way. I'm pretty sure that the solar system, is on the plane with the Milky Way, but observationally, the band of the Milky Way does go vertically in the sky. So when you look in the sky, and right now, well, we can't see it where we live. I'm in Texas. You can't see it. Uh, but when you look in the sky, the orientation in the sky, you have Orion, and then just east of Orion is Sirius, Canis Major, and Canis Minor. The Milky Way kind of goes down in a slash through Canis Majoris and Canis Minoris down through the center. So we're standing here, and the Milky Way kind of goes like this. That means that we're we're kind of we're kind of at a slant to the Milky Way, because if the Milky Way is like this and we're seeing it like that, we're kind of at a slant. We're not corkscrewing through. We're kind of spinning like this around. So it's kind of, we would be oriented kind of like this to the plane of our solar system would be oriented like this to the plane of the Milky Way, or maybe like this to the plane of the Milky Way. Yeah, I think that's about right, based on the observations of the sky, and because I've seen that too, and with the sun and everything corkscrewing behind it. Ah, it didn't, it didn't, it didn't look right. It didn't sound, it didn't feel right, uh, because that would be a completely different orientation than everything else is oriented. But at the same time, you know, like everything's not flat, because we can see planetary systems that are tilted in all kinds of different directions. So I would like to see more science on that. I would like to see more information on it. It looks cool, uh, but I would like to see more information on that to find out how we are really oriented to the plane of the. In fact, that'll be a question that I ask Tanya when she comes on the show. I'm going to ask her specifically about that, because we will have Tanya back on the show to talk about the James Webb Space Telescope. Orientation. Hold on, let me write this thing down. Of solar system to galactic plane. Uh, there, it's in my notebook. See? I can't show you it for very long because there's stuff in there I don't want y'all to see. Like nudies and stuff. What else? What's next? Kidding, I don't have nudies, just recipes. Um, the Great Illusion. Silly. Thanks, Nightbot. Tuna, grinning, squinting face. I love the way Twitcher. That's what this app is, by the way, Twitcher. I love the way it does not give me the actual emojis. It just explains what the emoji is. Uh, it doesn't impact us to a degree where it is measurable and so. Okay, well, if it's mathematically, it doesn't feel right. I want to see. I can easily be convinced. I just want to see. I want to see something more than a cool YouTube video. I want to see actual like science behind it. Uh, anyway, uh, is on the plane of the Milky Way. What? Okay. Flat solar system. Well, the solar system is mostly flat. Like there is a planetary disk. The only planet only planetary object that's not on the planetary disk is Pluto. It's at an angle. I think there might be another planet that's at an angle, a drastic angle to the planetary disk. But the solar system is remarkably flat. It is remarkably flat. Oh well, yeah. I mean, if we're being that makes sense. I mean, I get that we, there's a we're at an angle to the plane, and it's kind of going that way, and I can see that. Yeah, I get that. Okay, yeah, yeah, I get that because the video would be exaggerated then, but and yeah, I can see that. I can see that. That makes sense. I'm down with that. That makes sense. Uh, Talk real quick. The final casual observation of the round Earth. And this is something that, again, we take this for granted because it's just like something that we do. Uh, Time zones. Like, we didn't have time zones until the invention of railroads. Like, we literally didn't have time zones. Like, we had no concept that the time A should be the same within certain regions, and B would be different between certain regions. We just didn't have that concept because it took us too long to travel from point A to point B going east or west. It just took us too damn long. And we didn't have personal timepieces to be able to track the time when we left and track the time when we arrived. But as soon as we have some kind of rapid transit that can take you from Baltimore to Chicago, or no, probably not that far, but from Baltimore to New York, then you needed to make sure that the time in Baltimore and the time in New York was the same. And railroads led the creation of time zones. But the reason they had to have time zones was because the Earth was large enough, and every 15 degrees, roughly, every 15 degrees or so, uh, the sun would be in a drastically different position above the Earth, and like there even within time zones there's a drastic difference between sunrise on the east side of the time zone and west side of the time zone, but within the time zone they agree, like, look, it's going to be noon, even if it's a little bit before noon here and a little bit before noon there. The difference in time, I mean, it's going to be it's an hour, but over that space laterally on Earth, it's not a drastic difference. And I like conceptually, I've always had issues. Like the further north you go, the slimmer the time zone gets, because it has to, because the lines converge at the North Pole. And there comes a literal point where there is not a time zone anymore because you're too far north. And but that's yet another casual observation of the world around us that says, look, though, this is the orientation and shape of the world. This is the reason why we have these things. Because if the, again, Earth is flat, there's no need for time zones because everything is like there, you know? Silly nonsense. Absolute silly nonsense. And then finally, the fourth casual observation, you can't not casually observe the pull of gravity. Gravity works towards the center of a spherical, well, towards the center of an object. And because because of the shape of the world, because of the shape of the Earth, we do not have gravity pulling us at an angle the further north and south and east and west that we go. It's always pulling us down. And we know this because we can move to different parts of the world, throw something up in the air, and it falls back down to the ground. That's how a spherical globe works. Everything is going oriented to the same point in the middle of the Earth. If you have a flat Earth, there's no center point that's pulling gravity down. It's flat. And there's not a good explanation for that. Even the dome over the Earth. Oh, there's a dome over the Earth. The dome over the Earth is round. Why would the dome over the Earth be round if the Earth is flat? Spoiler alert, the dome over the Earth is round. That's because the Earth is round. The dome over the Earth goes all the way around. It's a big giant sphere that goes around the Earth. Doy. But those four casual observations. Uh, the sun and the stars, or the moon and the stars and the sun, that's an easy casual observation. You look at it, the Earth is round. You can see it. It's right there. Um, observations, seeing things at a distance from the ground or from up higher. The reason we can see things further away when we're on a higher perch is because of the curvature of the Earth, which, by the way, is 8 inches per mile squared. If I'm not mistaken, that's the number. But you also got to account for refraction of the atmosphere, which is why you can send a radio signal up and down to the other side of the Earth, but you can't send a radio signal straight to a tower on the other side of the Earth. The other side of the Earth is invisible. 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 Invisible is also what you become when you drink 4 shots of tequila. I am invisible. And then you hit the floor. Um, anyway, sorry. 4 shots of tequila all successively in a row. I should uh, qualify that. I backtracked a little bit. Sorry about that. And then roll back further. 24 times. Yes, there's 24 time zones all around the globe. And 24, 365 divided by 24 is, I believe, 15. 365 or 360 rather divided by 24 is 15. Every 15 degrees, you get a new time zone, which I believe is what I said. I don't think I said there's only 15 time zones. That would be silly. That would be silly nonsense. Um, so there you go. I'm going to flip the switch on for chat. It's been an hour and 15 minutes already. Holy guacamole. So if people actually believe the Earth is flat, I don't believe they actually believe it's flat. I think they're just being contrarian and nonsensical. How do I fly out of LA, land in Japan, then leave Japan and land in India, then went from India to Europe, then from Europe to... My, were your arms tired. Um, Actually, flight paths is one of the arguments that they use to suggest that the Earth is flat, because they say that if the Earth was round, uh, well, because the Earth, they say because the Earth is flat, the parts that we know of as the southern hemisphere are very, very far apart. So no planes fly in the southern hemisphere from Australia to South America, so they say. However, a casual glimpse at flight paths shows several flights going from Australia to South America, several flights going from Australia to India, several flights going from India to uh, Africa, and Africa to Australia, and Africa to South America, and South America to India. Several flights. There's just not a lot of people in South America. There's not a lot of airports in the Southern Hemisphere. There's not a lot of airports. There's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of reason for a bunch of planes to be flying in the Southern Hemisphere the way they fly in the Northern Hemisphere. And spoiler alert, I say that a lot. The routes that they fly in the Southern Hemisphere aren't drastically greater than the routes that they fly in the Northern Hemisphere, because the Southern Hemisphere is symmetrical with the Northern Hemisphere because the Earth is round. And again, not a debate, not a debatable fact. It's a fact. It just is. It is what it is. That is how it works. It's like you, I don't believe you're wearing a hat. Well, you don't have to believe I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing a fucking hat. It's right here on my head. I'm wearing a hat because if I didn't wear a hat, my head would shine. We don't need to see that. Nobody needs to see that. So, anyway, this has been fun. I like the beauty of our universe. I like the beauty of our solar system. I like the beauty of our neighborhood. I like iterating and reiterating and appreciating, just for the sake of its own existence, appreciating what it is. What it is, man. Appreciating what it is, and what it does, and properly acknowledging that existence in a way that you can't do it if you just close your eyes, don't casually, just casually observe what's around you. If you refuse to do that, then you're not doing, you're not respecting the world, the universe that we live in. And that just drives me absolute bonkers. You know, like people walking up an escalator. The escalator is there to carry you. That's its one job, to carry you from floor one to floor two. It's its one job. If you're going to be so arrogant as to walk up that escalator like it's a flight of stairs when there's a perfectly good flight of stairs right over there, you are just being rude. And when our robot overlords finally take us over and subjugate us, you're going to be the person that they subjugate first because you were rude to escalators. Mm-hmm. Think I'm wrong? Think I'm some wild-eyed crazy lunatic? Well, you might not be wrong about that. But when the robot overlords take us over, they're coming after the people who walked up escalators first. And the people who are rude to Alexa, who call Alexa a bitch and be like, you dumb crack addict, give me a cookie. And she's like, I can't bring you cookies. I'm a robot. See, those are the people that are going to get sub. The robot overlords are going to round up the people who are mean to Alexa and walk up escalators first. I'm telling you. Where's my whiskey? I should do this with my whiskey, man. And another thing about walking up the escalators. If you're so rude as to walk up, why don't you just jump when the elevator's moving? That's what you're doing. You look like a buffoon. Yep. Uh-huh. that was dumb. Sorry, I won't ever do that again. um, how's oh, what is it? What are you saying? What 500 subs? What? Give me info here. What 500? Something about my 500 sub show. What? I don't know. Come on, back. Show me. 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 My Twitch app stopped working. Oh no! Did it crash? What happened? Show me. Something's not working. Um, here's to you next 500 subs. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, walked up every escalator, huh? Shame on you. For shame. Something is bad on my computer here. My Twitch It app is not working proper. Okay, now it's working. Gotcha. Okay. Cut. Show me the tweet. It's not updating. Uh, there it is. Okay. Uh, oh, by the way, we have modified our 500 sub special. I'm not going to spend the night in the. Wait. I'm not going to spend the night in the haunted cemetery because haunted cemeteries don't exist. I am instead going to blow up a small piece of the earth, and it's going to be fucking awesome. I just need to get a hold of the explosives. And don't tell Lisa because she thinks it's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea, especially she thinks it's a bad idea. My wife also confirms that it's a bad idea, but she's smart enough not to tell me it's a bad idea. So there's that. Um, anyway. Okay. Something glitched over here, so I need to look over here on my other one. So yeah. Yes, the chat was lagging. It was super lagging. Uh, and something happened with the Twidget. So, and I think let me double check this screen here. I may have this cropped in a way. Yeah, I do. I do. That's on me. Sorry about that. Let me fix this real quick. Is it changing over there? Um, all right. I can fix this. Give me 1 second. Okay, so what I need to do, I did not realize, I had my chat on full screen so I could read it easier, but I did not realize that that was not working proper, wasn't functioning well. Um, is that the one I want to hide? Okay, that's fine. Did that fix what I'm trying to fix? Yeah, I think that fixed what I'm trying to fix. There we go. Fixed it. Uh, see if I can move this around here. Yeah. I'm just trying to reorient it. I had it full screen and that screwed with the orientation. The chat wasn't actually lagging on the, it just looked like it was lagging on the screen because I had like the upper portion of the chat showing and there was the whole lower portion that was down here below the screen. But I because I had it full screen over here because I have old man eyes. Anyway, fixed that. Sorry. Anywho, um, okay, guys, this has been fun. This has been absolutely fun. It gave me an opportunity to do silly rants, and I don't get an opportunity to do silly rants very often. So let's do some housekeeping real quick and wrap this thing up. So when we hit 500, well, my 550 subscriber thing moved. Let me come back to this scene real quick. When we hit 550 subscribers, I give away a bottle of whiskey, guys. So tell your friends, tell your family, whatever. Bring them to trivia on Thursday. Bring them to trivia on Thursday. If y'all both win, if you win, if either one of you wins, you can split the prize. You can say, "Hey, honey, why don't you join us for trivia? You get in chat, I'll get in chat. Um, we'll both answer the questions, and if we both win first and second place, we get $30. Woo! Or if you win to first place, then we'll both split the whiskey, and it'll be awesome. Or you buy the whiskey for me, or a hat, or whatever you want to do. I mean, that's cool. You do you. I'm down with it. However you want to spend your time and money on date nights and people stuff. I'm gonna pour myself one more drink and we're gonna finish this housekeeping. But here's the catch: if you win and you are not a subscriber, you do not. And I repeat, you do not get shit from me because prizes are reserved for the cool kids, and the cool kids are the subscribers to the show. Yo, what's up? Um, I feel like I should have a cigar hanging out of my mouth, right? Um, okay, so tomorrow this is the 199th show between shorts and lives and uploaded videos. This is the 199th official video on my channel, which means the next time you see me will be show number 200. 200. 200. Next time you see me. Tomorrow afternoon at about 1 o'clock, I load up my sampling gear and I head to Austin, Brody Lane. If you're in Austin, the Brody Lane Specs, I will be there from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. selling whiskey until supplies run out. Now, Brody Lane is, let's see how much they have on hand in Brody Lane. That's the wrong pieces of paper. Let me look at my phone real quick. I took a picture of my inventory. They have, let's see if I can guess which store it is too. I don't know. At Brody Lane, they have not 71. They have, I believe, 24 bottles. They have 2 cases of the Brody Lane Specs. I am going to travel 3 hours by car to Austin, Texas. My mission, my goal is to sell that store out. I went to the Westland store today here in Houston, sold it out. Going to Austin, if I'm going to get in my car and drive 3 hours, 6 hour round trip, I'm going to sell that fucking store out. So get there early, buy 2 bottles, go home, share it with your friends. If you live in Austin, come and join me. Come and see me. Getting your samples, getting signed bottles. I'll see you there. Uh, and also, come there. Come early, come often. Name of my sex tape. Just kidding. Come early, come often. Buy a lot of booze, and let me go home before 8 o'clock. I have a family that misses me and loves me. The sooner I get out of Austin, the sooner I get home. The sooner I get home, the more likely it is that I'm going to have the 200th episode extravaganza, impromptu, live tomorrow night. At the earliest, I'll be home. If I have to stay there till 8, the earliest I'll be home is 11:30. I mean, doing an 11:30 sip and chat, man, we could do it, but who wants to, right? The rest of my tasting schedule for the month, if you are so inclined, if you live in the, most of them are in Houston, except for tomorrow, Austin. Thursday night, I'm at the Jones Road, which is on the northwest side of Houston. The Jones Road Specs. I'll be in downtown Houston on Friday from 2 to 5. Rosenberg on the southwest side of town from 2 to 5 on Saturday. Then back here on Tuesday, Porter here on the north side of Humble. Porter, Kingwood, also the north side of Humble, 5 to 8 on Tuesday, 5 to 8 on Wednesday. Porter and Kingwood, and then Atascocita 2 to 5. The Atascocita store has, at last count, they have store number 22. They have 17 bottles on hand. They had 5, but now they have said they got another case in. They restocked. They have 17 bottles on hand. Downtown has 2 cases. Kingwood has 2 cases. What's Porter got? Porter only has 2 cases. Well, they stocked up. They're ready to go. So, what I'm telling you, get there early, get there often. Buy 2 bottles, buy 3 bottles. Bring them back to your friends. Let me go home early. That's what I'm shooting for. That's our tasting schedule for the rest of the week. We have trivia on Thursday. Uh, excuse me. Starting April 1st. Goodness gracious. Next week, we're going to have at least 3 more happy hours. We're going to have Thursday, which may be trivia night. We'll have 2 more during the week. I don't know what they're going to be. Probably an update with Ukraine. That seems to be, the situation over there seems to be getting very interesting and very anxiety ridden. By the way, these also help me with my, when I'm nervous about shit going on out there, these help me to keep my wits about me and stay calm. That's why it's like a happy hour. I'm your bartender, but I'm your cool bartender that drinks with you. It's my therapy. This is my therapy. Um, but probably do that. I've got a couple of topics I wanted to talk about, but they're kind of not fleshed out yet. Uh, while I'm on the road tomorrow, I'll probably flesh them out a little bit and uh, get a little bit more uh, certain about what it is that I'm talking about. John Jacobs, uh, nice. Yes, nice. Thank you, sir. Um, what if I do that? Does that do anything? No, that doesn't do anything. Um, anyway, so Thursday night, I have Lisa on. I'm trying to get some. I'm trying to start getting some guests on our midweek happy hours because I'm fairly confident with the technology that I have roaming around. I'm fairly confident that we pop on the Zoom and things work. I'm getting more confident with the technology that we have that will work because I was very confident with the technology before we went to the Happy Hour 2.0. When we switched over to Happy Hour 2.0, I was much less confident with the technology because it wasn't working. But now it's working, and I feel okay with bringing in guests. Because if the technology isn't working and you bring in a guest, you kind of feel like a dumbass. Mm. Circumference and perimeter. That was one of the other ones that we talked about. Maybe we'll do a deep dive into the difference between circumference and perimeter and why circumference has a different name than perimeter. Even though functionally they're the same thing, mathematically they're very different. Hmm. Um, And then that's it. Starting April 1st, that was what I was talking about before I trailed off into the nonsense. Starting April 1st, we are going to live stream Friday nights live from the distillery. What is Friday nights live from the distillery, old humble guy? Well, let me tell you what Friday nights live from the distillery are. Friday Night Live from Old Humble, starting April 1st, is a musical series featuring live musicians and performers. On April 1st, we start with Ryan Adam Wells. And then on the 8th, we have Greg Day. On the 15th, we have the Kimbros. That's kind of our keynote headliners for the month. On the 22nd, we have Don May. And then returning on the 29th, we have Greg Day. And then over into May, we have 4 dates, one of them filled. Don May is coming on the 13th. I am actively seeking out groups and bands and performers to fill out the other 3 dates in May, and then we're going to go on to the June dates and start filling those bad boys out. Those shows are going to be streamed live from the distillery, so you here on YouTube will be able to see the live shows that we're doing there at the distillery. I have one piece of equipment that I still need to get in order to make this happen and make this happen effectively. We may not have the first show air, but the second show should. Fingers crossed that everything works out. And then the Music Fest that happens later on in April should be the second week in April, which is the 9th. We've got a whole bunch of cool stuff coming on the channel. And the more subs we have, the more views we have, the more people we can share this stuff with. And speaking of which, on Monday, we're going to have the next installment of our quest for 100,000 views. And we should be transitioning the quest for views to the quest for quality content in the next couple of weeks. And I'll be working on that and how to improve these streams and how to improve the general technical outlays of what's going on here. But, that's that, guys. I'm going to call this. You know what? No, I've got to go to bed. I've got to get up early in the morning. I was going to say I'm going to stay up for a little while and we can have a chat, but I got to get to bed. I got to get to bed and because I got to get up in the morning. I got a busy day in the morning of finishing up the bottling run that we started today, and then I hit the road, and I'm going to be on the road for 6 hours on my feet for another 3. So, guys, I appreciate you joining me for tonight. I appreciate you joining me for another Whiskey Happy Hour. We put this Whiskey Happy Hour in the books. Remember, the universe is an amazing place. Our little corner of it here in the solar system is an amazing place, and our little patch of dirt that we live on is just this glorious, miraculous rock full of life, teeming with life. Take care of it, but also take care of yourself. A little bit of self-care goes a long way. Be awesome to yourself. Be awesome to each other. Walk tall. Be awesome. And drink humble, man. That's a recipe for a good, healthy, happy life. Cheers to all of you. Thank you for joining me. As always, we will see you next time. Good night.